Allô, Aminata, est-ce que mon micro marche?
Oui, bonjour.
Vous m'entendez, Aminata?
Oui, je l'entends.
D'accord. Donc, normalement, les étudiants peuvent m'entendre, n'est-ce pas? Et je peux commencer.
Oui, c'est ça.
Hein?
Ouais, vous pouvez commencer.
D'accord, merci. Euh, Maintenant, Alors, welcome to the course, Creative Writing, Intro to Writing. So, this is our last session of this chapter. If you all can hear me from YouTube, your leader of the class, either Lala or Mariam, you can text me if you guys have any questions or if you would like to join the course on Zoom, just to coordinate with the YouTube channel. So we have been talking about Kamara Lai and his journey with his family in the first chapter. And then we saw that how he lives in a compound, right, in a village. And he described a lot about the village and, his father and with his father, as a blacksmith, um, a, and his mother and the customers. So we talked about, the tree, what's happening, like a vibrant life that the house has um, every day because the customers come and they order things and the dad makes it. But we also talked about how dad share with him the secret with the snakes, right? So that was the first chapter, and I think you all has understood it and have done your your test, so you understand exactly what it is about. So this text is kind of the follow-up where the narrator shares with us, how they spend the summer in the mother's family, right? So how he goes to Tendika, which is the village of his mother, and where his uncles and aunts live, like and he stays there for the summer. So basically, if you think about it, the life of the narrator is divided between, his immediate family, like father, mother, and um, with this grandmother's village. So he goes to the grandmother's village to stay for the summer. And he's describing the village, he's describing the family, and he's also describing about, what excites him about being in the family. Um, so what's really interesting is how he develops the paragraphs. We talked about, how, his ideas evolved from, like um, the information about the village, right? We know the name of the village is Tandika. We know it's in west of Kurusa. We know that, that's where his mother was born. That's where his grandmother is, you know. Um, Bonjour, Fadal. Allô? Fadal, vous êtes responsable, n'est-ce pas, de classe? Non? OK. Oui, le cours a commencé. Il faut que j'appelle Mariam pour
Non,
coordonner.
je ne suis pas responsable
Pardon?
des
OK.
non, je ne suis pas responsable.
Ah, d'accord, OK. Et vous avez, vous
Mais
avez, vous n'avez pas suivi sur YouTube?
oui, j'ai vu qu'ensuite, pour mieux réagir.
OK. Euh, euh, Aminata a partagé le lien YouTube avec moi. Je ne sais pas si je clique le lien, je serai aussi capable de partager mon écran. C'est ça le problème.
Oui, j'ai vu qu'ensuite, pour mieux réagir.
Oui. OK. Euh, Aminata a partagé le lien YouTube avec moi. I have no idea. So, je vais éteindre le lien YouTube parce que ça fait des échos. Et je retourne juste partager ça. Alors, Fadal, est-ce que tu pourras partager? Tu peux voir YouTube, non? Tu pourras partager les réponses des étudiants. Allô?
C'est en direct. Quand quand je
Mais
suis
est-ce,
entré sur YouTube, j'ai vu là direct.
OK. Mais est-ce que tu peux voir si les étudiants posent des questions, est-ce que toi, tu peux les voir?
Oui, je pourrais les voir
OK. So, si tu les vois, tu peux me les partager, s'il te plaît.
D'accord,
D'accord? Et je vais rajouter
d'accord.
aussi Mariam. Euh, Tu peux envoyer le lien, le lien Zoom. Attends, c'est le même lien qu'on utilise.
C'est le même lien.
Oui, je vais lui dire. Je vais dire à Maria. C'est le même lien. C'est le même lien. OK, j'espère qu'elle pourra se connecter. OK, donc Fadel, tu peux couper ton micro et dès que tu vois des commentaires dans YouTube, tu me dis, d'accord? C'est bon.
OK,
D'accord.
oui.
Merci. All right, so what I was saying is how he described, the family, how he described the village, the relationship between him and his mother, right, and his grandmother. And he gave us a lot of information. So last week I asked you to read and to do a summary of the text using your own words. Okay. So I hope you were able to do that. Um, And if you were able to do that, could you share with either on YouTube directly, like as a comment, la partie commentaire de YouTube, or you share with your responsable de class, like the person, the leader of your class, and they will send it to me. Okay. Um, Father, since you are here, did you do a summary or no? Hello?
Hello, Mrs.
Yes. Did you do a summary or no? You were not able to.
A summary about what exactly?
Of the text. I asked
Of the
people to,
text.
yeah, to read the text and do a summary using your own words, un résumé,
Oh yeah, I see.
your own words. You didn't do that?
I was missing last time.
Ah, okay, you were not here last time. It's okay.
I was
Who, who else was here last time and was able to do the summary of the text? Who is iPhone? iPhone, c'est qui? Hello? Maybe iPhone has an issue with the mic. Okay, so I'll show you a different ways to do a summary, okay? In the meantime, on YouTube, Fadal, you can check if we have somebody that shared their summary, okay? So when you're doing a summary, you look at the text and you look at the keywords, right? It's like your understanding of the text. Okay, because a text is composed of like sentences, full sentences, right? And then we have, connecting words. We've been talking about that in the last couple of weeks, right? Connecting words like often, as for me, and all of those connecting words help us compose, paragraphs, right? So, So when you're doing a summary of it, you have to, first of all, make sure that you understand the text, right? Because you cannot summarize something that you don't understand. So, and summary is just taking the key information and then sharing it, okay? So you take the key information and you share it. That's all. Summary means, it doesn't mean interpretation. Summary doesn't mean, a deep analysis of something. A summary is just saying what the text is saying in your own words. For example, I can say, in this text, the narrator share his experience in his grandmother's village called Tendikan. It's in west of Kurusa. When he goes to the village, his uncle take him, and then they walk for 4 hours to get to the village, right? And he's very excited to be in the village. So you see what I said? Ce que je viens de dire, c'est exactement un résumé du texte, right? You don't have to talk about all the ideas of the text. You can just take in the most important information and then you can share that, okay? Ceux qui sont sur Zoom, s'il vous plaît, fermez vos micros. Ndawakala, Khujese et iPhone. So, c'est comme ça qu'on fait un résumé, okay? So I can summarize in another way. In this text, the narrator share with the reader about his time he spent in his grandmother's village. The village is called Tendikan and it's in west of Kurusa in Guinea, okay? And he's very close to his grandmother. He doesn't know his grandfather. And when he goes to the village, the most exciting information for him is the newborn calves, newborn animals, right? You see how I summarize it in a different way. The third way to summarize it for me, it could be I can start with, the narrator who is very close to his grandmother goes to the village after the end of school to spend the time with the mother's family. And his uncles are there in the village. The village has a very vibrant, nice life. But unfortunately, he doesn't know his grandfather. He just knows his grandmother. And he loves his grandmother, who is a very strong woman. And when he goes, it's his uncle that come and pick him up and then walk with him. Okay? So that's another summary. Now, can you, those who are on YouTube, share with us the summary that you have done? Just a couple of sentences of the text. Kujese Ndeye Fatou Ndiaye, Fadal Diop, Ndawa Kala. Qui veut partager son résumé du texte avec nous? Ou bien ceux qui sont sur YouTube? Hello? Nobody? Vous n'avez pas fait le résumé? Fadal, est-ce que sur YouTube, il réagit ou non? Allô? Fadal? Non, il n'y a pas de réaction sur YouTube. Allô? Ah, Ndeye Fatou Ndiaye n'était pas au courant. Tu étais là la semaine dernière? Non? Les autres qui veut partager son résumé? I asked you to summarize just in a few words the text. Nobody can. That's okay. Aja Jainaba. Vas-y, you can unmute. Allô? Adja Djeynaba, on t'entend
Madame,
pas.
il demande le lien sur Zoom de
Qu'est-ce qui demande le lien sur Zoom?
ceux qui sont sur YouTube.
On peut partager le lien sur Zoom aussi. Parce qu'en fait, le problème, c'est que Zoom a une limite. Alors que YouTube, beaucoup de personnes peuvent suivre sur YouTube.
Ah, ok.
Les responsables, Mariam, tu peux partager le lien Zoom. Et Adja, tu voulais partager ton résumé ou non? You wanted to share your summary? No? Si tu m'entends, nous, on t'entend pas. So we cannot hear you, okay? Maybe you have an issue with your mic. You can just write down on the comment so we make sure that we can hear you. Anybody else? Anybody else on Zoom or on YouTube? No? Yahouba Traore, you want to share? And Fadel Job, you want to try it too? So let's hear from Yahouba first and then Fadel. Yahouba, we cannot hear you if you didn't unmute. Hello? Okay, Fadel, you want to go? Maybe Yahouba has issues, technical issues. Yahouba, you wanna do it? Fadel, go ahead. You have the floor. Tu peux unmute et parler, Fadel. Hello? Okay, Fadel, whenever you can just speak, okay? So I'm gonna continue. It seems like you guys you're having like technical issues. So I'm just gonna continue the course. So I was saying like how to summarize a text. I gave you some tips. C'est important pour vous de faire l'exercice parce que either in this class or in a different class, you will always need to explain to people, right? You are studying and what you are doing. So it's important for you to kind of try, even if it's like a few sentences, to explain the content of the text, okay? I gave you 3 different ways to summarize, okay? Okay, so I'm gonna get back to the text now. If you have comments, you just write them down and I'll be able to read it. So what's interesting about this text again is, how organized the ideas are. Your ideas, if you don't organize them, sometimes when you speak, people may not understand what you're saying, right? So when you start an idea, you need to finish it. For example, when he said, she was a large woman, slender, erect, and robust. If it was the only information, maybe we would know that the grandmother was, a strong woman and all that. But he gave us like more information, right? When he said that she had black hair, didn't have gray hair as old people usually do, right? Um, and she was very young, still young, basically like her body didn't get old. Why? Because she works very hard. She still goes to the farm. She still do activities, right? and she doesn't like people who are lazy. For her, people need to work, right? And last time we talked about um, how this narrative is very important because it shows that actually women do work, like the physical work that the farming requires. Usually it's difficult to do, but the grandmother is still able to do that. Aja, it seems like you want to speak again, but we cannot hear you.
Oui, bonjour.
Bonjour, yes, Aja, hello.
Hello.
Do you want to summarize the text? Do you want to share with us what you've done?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead. Vas-y.
The book is preceded by a short tribute in verse from the author to his mother, who symbolizes all African women and plays an important role in the novel. Lai is a young boy who lives with his parents in Kurusa, a village in Upper Guinea. His father, a blacksmith and goldsmith, teaches him the technique of his craft. Lai sometimes visits her grandmother who lives in Tendikan, a neighboring village where he discovered farming in Kurusa. He attended French school. He joined the Association of the Non-Initiated, where he learned of his French life.
Okay.
After a vocational qualification certificate in Connect, Lai is offered the opportunity to continue his studies in France. After some hesitation, he eventually accepts offer with his friend Mary.
Okay. It's done. So Aja, thank you so much for the summary. Now, can I ask you to just summarize the text that we have right now? Just this part, the extract. Can you summarize it? Hello? Hello, Aja? The summary you gave is really good because it's the summary of the book actually, right? But for now, I want you all to practice summarizing just the text that we are doing. Okay? D'accord? So can you please summarize just this text that we have been doing, this chapter? Aja, tu nous entends? Aja Jainaba. Et tout le monde, hein, s'il vous plaît, ceux qui sont sur Zoom. La dernière fois, on a eu des gens qui ont dessiné sur le texte. Et je vois déjà une ligne rouge qui a été dessinée ici. S'il vous plaît, ne touchez pas à vos écrans. OK? Comme ça ne va pas, on ne va pas avoir ce qu'on a la dernière fois. Il ne faut pas écrire sur le texte. Des fois, peut-être c'est juste par erreur que vous le faites. Mais il faut éviter de naviguer un peu sur le texte là. Si vous avez des iPads, iPhone et autres, il ne faut pas toucher le texte, d'accord? Merci beaucoup. Aja? Okay, so after Aja, who else want to try to summarize, to share with us? No? Nobody? Okay. So I'll continue discussing the text and giving you tips. Je vous donne des raccourcis. HP, c'est qui? HP, c'est qui? HP, vous avez la parole, mais il faut renommer et mettre votre nom. HP? Vous avez levé la main? Non? Ok. Alors, ce qui est intéressant, what's really interesting here is that we see the grandmother and the way that the narrator focuses on the strength of the grandmother. So strength come from like being strong, okay? So her strength so the grandmother is really strong. She's strong physically, okay? And she's strong mentally because she has her, like she works in the farm. Even if the uncles, right, of Kamaralai ask the grandmother to stop working physically in the farm, she doesn't listen. She still works because for her is that what's important is to contribute, to share, to be part of the community, right? So she doesn't want other people to take care of him. She wants to take care of herself, right? And all those things, we got it from the sentence. She disliked idleness. And the secret of her youth, no doubt, lay in constant activity. So constant activity is that she doesn't rest. She's always active, always working, okay? And I think the part of the husband dying too young, we've discussed it last time. So a lot of you all share the fact that, Kamaralai or the Kamaralai or the narrator share with us that they don't know their grandfather. Father, you can go ahead. Hello, Father.
Hello.
Hello, yes, we can hear you.
Can I say it loud,
Go ahead.
out,
No, you
or
can
can I write
talk.
it here?
You can write it. You can talk. You can talk. We're listening. We can hear you.
Okay, I'ma read it. So
Okay,
the
go ahead.
narrator really liked to spend time in Tendika, a small village where his maternal grandmother and uncles lived. He shared affection, a deep affection for his grandmother, a strong, active woman who continued farming despite her age and her son's objection.
Yeah.
Her husband died young, and though she occasionally mentioned him, her grief made it difficult to speak about him for long. The narrator never learned much about his grandfather. As the family, in keeping with local customs, avoided discussing loved one who had passed away due to the it covers.
S'il vous plaît, fermez vos micros si vous ne parlez pas. Allez-y, vas-y, Father. Sorry. Go ahead. Okay, so Father, it's good. So you wrote it down. Okay. So this is good. What I like about your summary, Father, is that you using your own, like your words, like recalls. So the narrator recalls, it means the narrator is a rappel, okay? So he recalls or he shares or he discusses, um, the time that he spent in Tendika, right? And I like how you precisely said that it's her maternal grandmother. So maternal grandmother is like HP, I think you are making some of the lines. Please, guys, please. Um, calls or he shares or he discusses, the time. Who on Nasa? And I like how. Please turn off your mics. Okay, thank you. So, and then he also, Fadel, you use words like, deep affection, right? Deep affection for his grandmother, right? And the grandmother is very strong and she's very active, right? And even though his sons said that he cannot work anymore, he still goes to work. So we have that information. We have the information about the husband dying young, right? That's good. Okay. Um, Her grief made it difficult to speak about him for long, right? That's good. And then you said, you know, you talk about the local customs. Remember when he said, in my country, we do not talk about people who are dead, right? Because we just like love them so much that we don't talk about them. Because when we start talking about them, we get emotional and we get sad. Okay. So that's good. So you can see that Fadel didn't take all the information from the text, but he shared one of the key information, right? So the fact that we have the village and the name of the village, and we have the grandmother, and we have the information about the grandmother being strong, the information about the grandfather dying young, and the tradition of like not talking about people who died just because we saw them. We love them very, very much. So thank you, Father, for this good summary. I don't know if anybody else would like to go, but just again, raise your hand and I'll give you the floor to go. So, if we're thinking about, the how Kamaralai discusses and then talks about his grandmother, right? So all these information are like coming out in terms of what he shares with the reader about his grandmother, but also how he organized it. He could have started by saying, "My grandfather died far too young," right, in the paragraph, but he didn't start with that. He started with his grandmother. Why? Because he wants to focus, with in like the relationship that he has with his grandmother, which is very, very important. Okay. So you all, when you organize also, like you're doing summaries or you're organizing your ideas, make sure you share the most important idea first, and then you can give more details about the information later on in the text. Okay. All right. So we have that. We have also something very important in this paragraph, and what's important is that he's sharing some cultural component. We talked about in Senegal, do we talk usually about dead people, like people who pass away, or no? How do we talk about those people? You know what I mean? What do we say about those people that we love, that they pass away? Okay. Um, HP, s'il te plaît. Je ne sais pas ce qui se passe à ton niveau, mais je vois ton nom dans le texte et partout. Okay? HP. Um, and those who have their mics, please turn them off if they're on. Thank you. So what I was saying is that in the text, he's giving us many, many ideas, many, many important information. So just the second paragraph has a lot of information, not only about the relationship with his grandmother, but the culture. So most of the time you will see that, in literature, in writing, what's important is really like the way that he present the information, right? So he explained why nobody talks about his grandfather. And we understand why, right? Because the culture, it is how they do it in their country. Okay. Okay. So now anybody would like to share anything about this second paragraph talking about people who passed away? Like in your experience, how do you talk about people who passed away? Okay. If you would like to talk about that, you can just raise your hand. So we go to the third paragraph, right? So the third paragraph brings a different information. Okay? It brings a different information, and the different information now is he's not talking about his grandmother anymore. He's telling us about his uncle, his youngest uncle. Okay? So he says that what he gives us about the information for the uncle is that the uncle is the youngest in the mother's family, in his mother's family. So we know that information. He says that his age, the age of the uncle, is very close to him, right? So that information in itself tells us about, how sometimes in the village, like women can give birth until they are, they get very, very old, right? Sometimes 50, sometimes 55, right? In some areas, we have kids, many, many kids, and we start having kids in a very early age, and then we have them until we are very, very old, right? Like 50, 55, years old. Okay, so that's also another important information. But another thing that's really, really important is that he's showing us how close he is to his uncle as well. He says that his uncle is very, very good by nature, right? And his grandmother didn't even need to tell him, hey, you are fetching my um grandson, please make sure to take care of him very well, right? So because the uncle also loves the narrator, the uncle loves Kamaralai. So he takes care of him, he watches him, they walk together, and he also walks slowly because he knows that, Kamarala is very young and kids cannot walk faster, right? And the distance is very long because even like an adult walking would take 2 hours to get to Tendika, right? But for him, like for Kamaralai, because his uncle understands that he's a kid, he's gonna walk slowly with him and he's very patient with him, okay? And he tells him amazing things happening in the village, right? Saying that, oh, you know what? We bought we bought a new cow, or we bought a new sheep, right? And then this cow have a baby, and the baby cow, we call them calf, right? So has a baby, um and then just like giving him a lot of information, which is really nice about. So as Muhammad Dumbai says, he keep him in his heart, right? It means that he really loves Kamaralai, and he loves um, picking him up, and he loves, walking with him to the village. Now, what's interesting is that it's the youngest uncle that come and pick him up. So in our culture in Africa, older people usually can send the younger people to do things for them, right? So maybe that's why it's not the older uncle that come and get him, right? We don't know the age specifically of his uncle, right? As and Talibe Sirin Babakar, see, you have to ask your questions in English, okay? So you have to try. So he's asking, what's the age of the uncle? We don't know the age of the uncle, right? All we know is that he said that the uncle is younger than his mother, okay? And then he seemed nearer his age. Basically, him and Kamaralai seem to be around the same age. That's what we know. We don't know how old exactly the uncle is, okay? So I was saying that what's interesting is that usually we send the younger person. The younger person goes, like we can ask them to go and give us water, to go and, just do things for us, right? Because it's important for us as younger people in the family to listen to all the people. So maybe that's why they send the younger uncle. But also because the youngest uncle he's young. He can walk for like 4 hours. He can walk for long distance. And he can keep the narrator Kamaralai entertained, right? Because they are near, almost same age. They may have same things that they are interested in, and he knows what type of information that he can share with him. Okay. All right. So that's good. The third paragraph is about the uncle, about their bonding, the working together, the news that he um like no, the patient even of the uncle, right? that we can see. Okay, so someone is asking me, okay, so no problem. I can repeat what I said. So what I said was the third paragraph is about a story with his young uncle. So his young uncle, the youngest of his uncles, le plus jeune, okay? So the youngest of his uncle come to get him when he goes to Tandika and walk with him. The walking is very far. It's 4 hours, okay? And the uncle is very patient with him. The uncle is very young too. He's young. In his age is about the same age as Kamaralai, okay? Which is also very interesting. So that's like this third paragraph. It's just about his uncle picking him up, walking with him slowly, making sure that, they take breaks, right? Tendika is in Guinea. So the book is taking place in Guinea. C'est en Guinée, c'est pas au Sénégal, okay? So it's in Guinea. But many of these things that he described is very similar to Senegal, right? So Kamaralai is from Guinea, not from Senegal. Okay. So in the last sentence, I think, of the third paragraph is very important because he said, but I was hardly aware of the length of the road, for all sorts of marvels lay along. So basically what he's trying to say is that there are so many interesting things happening around, like while they are walking. Okay. Um, while they're walking, so they know that many things, right? Sometimes you would just walk in the forest and then you see like so many interesting things, right? Sometimes it's just like a monkey passing by, and other things, right? Passing by. It could be just, a very interesting tree, fruit. We talked about the first chapter, we talked about fruits, right? And then the trees that you can find in the villages and stuff. So it's very, very, as Fadel said, like captivating. So a lot of things happen in the village, in the roads, right? It's not just like, walking and nothing happens. But the 4 hours, Kamaralai is not even aware of that because of so many things happening, so many interesting, captivating things happening on the road, okay? So that's, I hope you understand now. Who said Aliou Njai? It's good, right? Let us know if you still need clarification on like that paragraph. So I'm gonna talk about the last one, which is he says that his uncle would take a break, right, on the under the kapok tree. So kapok tree, I think last time we talked about it, and somebody even put the name in French, and we can just think about it as like the neem, garabu neem, right? So the neem trees, right, in many regions, right? Neem or acacia, those trees that are very dense and they give like a nice breeze of air. And then you can sit under it, have your attire, you can sit under it in some villages, even like you use some of the trees that are really very nice shade. That's where people sit and then talk about politics, talk about life, talk about, everything. In the past, even some of those trees were called like palaver tree, right? And then in the palaver tree, I'm gonna write it down. Palaver tree was c'est l'arbre à palabre, c'est le pinch, okay, in Wolof. It's like pinch, okay? So that's like place where people sit, talk about, life, or even vote sometimes, right? Or celebrate marriages, or resolve some conflicts and issues that happen in the village in the past. And we still have those palaver trees, those trees in different villages. It could be a different tree. It doesn't have to be always a kapok tree or acacia or other type of tree. But we usually have a tree that's really very nice and big, and people put either mats, the nut mats, or they could put benches, right? They bank, okay. So they usually put also benches, or even like mattresses, right? The matla, just to sit after lunch and then have tea and stuff on it. Okay. Aminata Badi. Okay, I just unmute you. It's fine. So we have this information about the kapok tree, about the break that they're taking while they're walking because it's a long distance. So they would sit down. They would sit down and then make sure that they can like take break and then just talk, right? And the uncle usually is the one telling him all the exciting things, all the things happening in the village, right? Um, like this happened in the village, the animal has babies. This happened, we have, for example, other kids from other families coming for the vacation because it's the end of school. A lot of people are being sent to the village to spend some time with their families, right? Um, but this last paragraph is also very interesting because he's talking about, how what damage the wild boars had made. So basically, it shows that in the farms, sometimes they have issues with animals, right? So sometimes they can make have their they can have like they harvest like vegetables and fruits and stuff, and then some animals go in like monkeys and donkeys and cows, right? If you don't have a good fence, a mur, they will jump in and then eat them and then destroy the field, right? So that's also a reality in the village that he's also sharing with him. Okay. So, but what the author, the narrator is telling us is very interesting. The last sentence, he says, the newborn calves interested me the most, right? All the information that the uncle is telling him, for him, what's really exciting, what's amazing, what's captivating for him is that the newborn calves, right? So it's like small cows that he's planning to play with, okay? So, so basically, we have really looked into the paragraphs. We have looked into, the information that the narrator is sharing with us. And Fadal, please continue to check the YouTube if there is any questions or contributions that they want to do. So now for those who are on Zoom, can we have volunteers to read the text for us again? And then we can have a few people who would like, if they would like to share their summaries with us, we do that. Can we have some people read, please? We can have 4 people, everybody, each of them read a paragraph. Muhammad Dumbai, good. Second? Okay, I'm gonna check who raised their hands because I cannot see it. So we have Aja Jainaba Dukura. The second one has Arabic name. I cannot read your name. And then Muhammad Dumbai. Who's the 4th person is Fatimatu Binta Kunta. Okay, so we have the 4 people. So let's start with who raised their hands first can read. Muhammadu Bay is first. Go ahead, Muhammadu. I'm gonna do this so you can see. Go ahead. Muhammadu Bay. Muhammadu Mbaye? Okay. Muhammadu Mbaye, maybe you have an issue with your... Okay. So let's have Aja Jainaba. Aja Jainaba. Okay, go ahead. Yes, you can read.
I read the first paragraph.
Yes, just the first paragraph. Yes, first paragraph.
A few days in Tentika, a tiny village.
Do you want to... Excuse me, do you want to start over, please? Thank you. Start again.
Yes.
Okay.
One extract from the book The Dark Shield by
Go ahead.
Tika, a tiny village west of Kurusa, where my mother had been born, and where her mother and brothers still lived. Since they were very fond of me, especially my grandmother, who made a festive occasion of my arrival. As for me, I loved her with all my heart.
All my heart. Thank you. Mute yourself. Fermez vos micros si vous ne parlez pas. Celle qui a le nom en arabe, who is it? Allô, allô, fermez vos micros. Fermez vos micros, s'il vous plaît. Allô? Il faut fermer vos micros, s'il vous plaît. Okay, thank you. So it's good. Now we have who, celle qui a son nom là en arabe. Allez-y. C'est qui? C'est pas Astou?
C'est Aïcha.
Aïcha, vas-y. Aïcha? Merci, Aminakan. Aïcha, ok, on va passer à une autre. So we had Aïcha. Aminakan?
Yes. She was a large woman, slender, erect, and robust. Her hair remained black as long as I knew her. Actually, she was still young and had not given up on farming, although her sons, who were able-bodied men, tried to dissuade her from it. She disliked idleness.
Idleness.
Oh, sorry. She disliked idleness and the secret of her years. I don't see this.
You cannot see?
Yes, I can see. Of
Can
her
you see now?
yes, on that lay in constant activity. Her husband and had died young, far too young. I never saw him. Sometimes she would talk to me about him, but never for very long. Tears soon interrupted her account, and I never learned anything about my grandfather, anything which might have given me a sense of of the sort of person he had been. For my mother and my uncles did not talk about him either. In my country, the dead who have been much loved had hardly mentioned it at all. We are too distressed when evoking such memories.
Thank you very much, Amina. Thank you. Let's go to okay, we have Eno Kaulak. Who is Eno Kaulak? Eno Kaulak. Eno Kaulak.
It's me. Hello.
Yes, what's your name?
Khudja said.
Please rename, okay? Put your name. Okay, Hujja?
Okay.
Okay, go ahead, read, please.
Can I read?
Yes, you can read. When I went.
Okay. When I went to syndicate, my youngest uncle came to fix me. Younger than my mother, he seemed nearer my age than hers. He was good by nature, and there was no need for her to remind him to keep an eye on me. He did so of his own accord. Since I was only a child, he would shorten his steps to suit my pace. He did this so effectively that we made the usual 2 hours walk to Tendikan in 4. But I was hardly awake to the length of the road, for all church and marvel lay along it.
Thank you, Hujja. Thank you very much. And then lastly, I see, let's have Abdullah Papis Jen, and then we will have the second round of people read again, okay? So Abdullah Papis, and then Aminata Bari will start again, okay? And then we will have Ricardo. Abdullah Papis Jen, go ahead for the last paragraph. Can you see it?
Okay, my uncle would choose a kapok tree whose shade he thought sufficiently dense, and we would sit down. He would tell me the most recent news from the farm, which cow had COVID and which had just been bought, which field had been plowed, and what damage the white bows had done. The newborn cows interested me the most.
Okay. Thank you, Abdullah. Thank you so much. So, Aminata Bari, do you want to read the first one again?
Hello, Mrs.
Hello, Aminata.
Can I start?
Go ahead. Read the first paragraph.
Okay. Extract from the book The Dark Child by Caroline. I often spend a few days at Tendika, a tiny village west of Kurusa, where my mother had been born and where her mother and brothers still lived. Since they were very fond of me, especially my grandmother, who made a festive occasion of my arrival. As for me, I loved her with all my heart. Thank you.
Thank you, Aminata. I see Ba. Who is Ba?
When I went to the
Ba?
Yes, hello, it's me.
Yeah. Yes. What's your name?
My name is Maremba.
Maremba. Okay. Next
Yeah.
time, please make your name. Put your names in. Okay.
Okay, don't worry.
Thank you. All right. You can read the second paragraph, please.
The second, okay.
Yes, Maria. Go ahead.
She was a large woman, slender, erect and robust. Her hair remained black as long as I knew her. Actually, she was still young and had not given up on farming, although her sons, who were able-bodied men, tried to dissuade her from it.
She disliked idleness and the secrets of her job lay in constant activity. Her husband had died young, too young. I never saw him. Sometimes he should talk to me about her, but never for very long. Tears songs interrupt his account, and I never learned anything about my grandmother, anything which might have given me a sense of the sort of person he had been. For my mother and my uncles did not talk about him either. In my country, the dead who have been much loved are hardly mentioned at all. We, we are too distressed when evoking such memories. It's okay?
Right.
Yes, thank you very much,
Okay. You're
Maria.
welcome.
Good job. So Fatoumata, go ahead. Fatimatu, désolé. Go ahead, Fatimatu.
Hello.
Oui, yeah. Fatimatu, go ahead.
D'accord. When I went to Tandika, my youngest uncle came to visit me, younger than my mother. He seemed nearer my age than her. He was good by nature, and there was no need for her to remind him to keep an eye on me. He did so of his own accord. Since I was only a child, he would shorten his steps to speak my peace. He did this to
When I
effect
went to Tenica, my youngest uncle came to fetch me. Younger than my mother, the same near
Wait.
than her was good by
Who is
nature.
that?
There was need for her to remind him
Abdullah,
any A on me.
Suleiman. Micro.
Ay, ini lan la ni.
Fay leen seen micro yi.
Acheter, Babacar Ngom, fermez vos micros.
léegi nag voilà xam nga la ma naan wax fii keroog feeñ
Eno Kaolack, s'il te plaît, ton micro. Ak
Oui,
ndaw.
Ndaw aussi.
day ñëw si moom
Please.
Eno
Your
Kaolack.
Eno Kaolack est en train d'avoir une conversation. Fermez vos micros. Ndaw.
Oh, guys, there are so many noise.
Hello. Turn off your mics, please. Eno Kaolack. Now it's Ndaw. Ndaw, please. Who is Ndaw? Turn off your mic.
Madame, il faut fermer le micro de tout le monde.
Oui, j'ai essayé, mais ça ne marche pas. Normalement, je vais le fermer, ça ne marche. Je ne sais pas pourquoi ça ne marche pas. Ndaw.
Ndaw.
Il ne nous entend pas, hein?
Bonjour.
léegi nii yaa da ngaa gëm leen léegi da ngaa gëm leen
What is this?
Non, tu as moins 5.
Elle n'est même pas consciente qu'elle a allumé son
Non.
micro, quoi.
Elle ne nous entend pas, c'est ça le problème.
jox ko ba mu sës tëdd ak kat.
Non, je peux pas. I cannot meet them. I have been trying. I don't know why. I was able to do that, but mais maintenant je ne peux pas.
man du ma nelaw bu porte bi di def fu loolu benn yoon laa ko def muy ca kaw mais déedéet ñun torog màdd la ñuy wax daa te comme jour boobu exposé la ñuy def tëdd rek di nelaw jour boobu moom xam naa ni xaay booy ñoo ma yem
Ndaw s'il te plaît ton micro.
jour boobu nu ma
Ndaw.
tëdd ba ñuy laaj ndax kii lan moo ko dal
Est-ce que quelqu'un connaît c'est qui Ndao, s'il vous plaît? Vous pouvez lui envoyer un message.
ñoo ngi foofu
Mais
boobu
je pense
dañoo
qu'elle a
dem
même pas fait exprès, hein.
This is
Bah
crazy.
aussi.
I cannot do anything here.
man bokkuma si yooyu da
We cannot do anything. Il faut l'appeler.
Vous connaissez Ndao? Vous ne la connaissez pas? Personne ne connaît Ndao.
Si quelqu'un a son numéro, il n'a qu'à l'appeler.
Oui, ou envoyer un message.
fii sooy ma
Ndao ne sait même pas qu'il a allumé son micro.
Yeah,
Faut
yeah,
l'appeler,
je ne
donc,
sais pas. Je pense qu'elle
parler.
pense que c'est un mythe. Pas un mythe, ça nous dérange.
ñun booy ñëw doo gis ko ana suñu kër moo tax
Oh my God.
waaw en jàngale
Et il est en pleine conversation, quoi.
man may wër ku ma jàngal informatique
On va faire, je vais arrêter et on va rejoindre, d'accord?
ak Excel lañ jeexal ni premier semestre Excel
Et tout le monde?
Excel
Ok, bye.
ay som maîtriser woo bëgg nga ko laaj nii nii
Voilà,
mënu
après,
munu laaj jàngala sama rakk bi waaye
Mais Ndao, dal sa xel doxal sa machine bi sax.
tuura liñ de laay def nag ah carte la awma dara
apparemment, on a le même problème.
daa bari kersa yow bu ko def nii ah waaw
Oh my God. Enfin, Ndao a coupé son micro. Oh my God.
Il était temps.
Oh, no way. But Talibé Serigne Babacar, c'est pas permis de voir des mots comme ça. Okay? You cannot use this type of words in here. All right? In my class, we don't do that. D'accord? Donc, tu ne peux pas appeler les gens comme ça. Ok, merci. Maintenant, je vais repartager encore mon écran. Je ne sais même plus qui était en train de lire. C'était qui? Fatoumata Bintou. Fatimatou Binta. C'est ça? Allez-y. Oui.
Hello.
Fatimatou Binta. You can go. Yeah.
When I went to
And
Tandikan,
sorry again.
when I went to Tandikan, my youngest uncle came to fetch me. Younger than my mother, he said me near my aunts and uncles. He was good by nature, and there was no need for her to remind him to keep on me. He did so of his own accord. Since I was only a child, he would shorten his steps with my praise. He did this so effectively that he made the usual 2 hours work to Tendikan in 4.
hours? Hours.
Hours. Work to 10
Hours.
the usual 2 hours. Work to 10 in 4. But I was hardly aware of the length of the role, for all sorts of marvels lay along it.
Thank you very much, Fatima. Thank you. So can we have, is it HP or Eno? No, Eno, vous avez déjà lu. Donc, HP, go ahead. Et Yahouba Traoré, fermez votre micro.
Hello, Mrs.
Why you talk?
Hello, Mrs.
Yahouba, turn off your mic. Thank you. HP, you
Hello.
can read.
Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you very well. What's your name?
My name is Salitin.
Salitin, next time you rename and put your name, please. Okay, but you can read the last paragraph,
My
please.
name is Salitin.
Okay, Salitin, go ahead. Yes.
My kapok three who's shut je trouve sufficiently dense and good.
Shade. Can you
Comment?
Hello, Salitin.
Hello. See.
You can read again. Start over. My uncle. Tu peux recommencer.
Si, attends, je vais zoomer ça.
Okay, I can try to put it up too. I think. It's good? No?
Non.
C'est pas bon. Attends. Je vais zoomer un peu. Okay. So you can see. Oops. Is it good? C'est bon.
Non. Non.
Allez, vous ne voyez pas?
Non.
Okay. Anybody else can see? Normal? Vous pouvez voir le texte? Les autres?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
So Sally, it's on you then. Are you using like your phone?
J'ai un problème de connexion.
Ah, d'accord. Donc, non, c'est pas grave, Sally. On va passer la parole à une autre. D'accord?
Je peux lire, madame?
Oui, qui veut lire? C'est qui?
Moi, Maguette, please.
Maguette, allez-y.
Okay. My uncle would choose a kapok tree who shade the soul sufficiently dense, and we would sit down. He would tell me the most recent news from the farm, which cow had calved, and which had just been bought, which field had been plowed, and what damage the whiteboard had done. The newborn calls interested me the most.
Good job. Thank you very much. Okay.
You're
So,
welcome.
can we have a few more volunteers who would like to read? I think you know what's important for me about this reading. This is a good way for you to practice pronunciation, okay? And also making sure that you're reading the sentences completely, okay? So we're gonna do one last round of reading the text, and then we'll again talk about, the transition words. So I see Ricardo, Kaka. And, so those who have already read, you cannot read again, please, okay?
Hello. Do you hear me?
Becky? Yes, who is that?
Ricardo Kaka, yeah.
We go ahead, Ricardo. You can read the first paragraph, okay?
Okay. So, uh, I often spend a few days at Tendikan, a tiny village west of Coruscant, where my mother had been born, and where her mother and brother still lived. Since they were very fond of me, especially my grandmother, who made me a festive occasion of my arrival. As for me, I love her with all my heart.
Thank you very much, Ricardo. Who else would like to read and didn't read yet?
Me.
Who is that?
Nedaba Sen.
Go ahead, Nedaba.
So, she
Me.
was a large woman, slender, erect, and robust. Her hair remained black as long as a few hair. Actually, she was still young and had not given up on faming all to her son,
Although,
who were
although,
her son,
although,
al-
although.
although her sons,
Mm-hmm.
who were able-bodied men,
Mm-hmm.
tried to decide her from it.
Mm-hmm.
She disliked idleness and the secret of her youth.
Mm-hmm.
Il faut zoomer, s'il vous plaît, madame. On peut.
Oh, je peux zoomer. Okay, let me see. Let me see. Is it good?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
The play and constant activity. Her husband had died young,
Mm-hmm.
far too young. I never say him. Sometimes she would talk me about him,
Mm-hmm.
but never for very long.
Mm-hmm.
Turnson interrupted her, her account,
Mm-hmm.
and I never learned anything about my grandmother. Anything which might have given
Anything
me
about
a
my
sense.
grandfather? Grandfather, not grandmother.
My grandfather,
Mm-hmm.
anything which might have given me a sense of the sort of person he had been.
Mm-hmm.
For my mother and my uncle did not talk about him either.
Mm-hmm.
In my country, they did who have been much loved
Mm-hmm.
are hardly mentioned it at all. We are to
Mention.
distress when evoking short memory.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. That's good.
Thank you.
Who else would like to read?
So me,
Who are you?
my name is Suleiman.
Suleiman, go ahead.
When I went to Tendicam, my youngest uncle came to fetch me. Younger than my mother, he seemed near my age than her. He was good by nature, and there was no need for her to remind him to keep an eye on me. He
Mm-hmm.
did so of his own accord. Since I was only a child, he would shorten his step to suit my pace. He did so effectively that we made the usual 2 hours walk to Tendikan in 4. But I was hardly aware of the length of the road, for all sorts of marvel lay along it.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. Talib Student Babakar, did you read
Me.
earlier or no?
C'est me.
No,
Tell
Talib
me.
Student Babakar said,
Yes, yes.
did you read earlier or no? Tu n'avais
No,
pas lu.
no, no.
Ok, allez-y donc.
My uncle would choose a kebab tree whose shade he took sufficiently dense, and we would sit down. He would tell me that the most recent news from the farm, which cow had calved and which had just been bugs, which field had been plowed, and what damage the wild boar had done. The newborn calf interested me the most.
Thank you very much. Okay. I just want to correct a little bit some of the pronunciation. Okay. So we said would, not would. Okay. Would. Okay. So we use would. We say bought, to buy, bought. Okay. And plowed. Okay. Boars. Okay. And then calves. Okay. Who else would like to read?
Me.
Who is that?
Me.
Seki? Seki?
Me.
What's your name?
My name is Abdullah Jal.
Abdullah Jallo, yes. Go ahead and read the first one, okay?
Okay,
Madam
thank you.
Abdullah
I
Jallo
first,
and Kande. Okay,
yes.
Abdullah Jallo, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I ever spent a few days as Tendikan, a tiny village west of Kurusa where my mother had been born, and where her mother and brother lived, since they were very fond of me, especially my grandmother, who made a festive occasion of my arrival. As for me, I loved her with my heart, with all my heart. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. Let's have Kande read. Kande? Hello? Maybe Kande has an issue. Okay, Kande vas-y.
Hello.
Yes, you can go. You can read.
My uncle would charge a capote,
No,
3 horse.
no, we are here. She was a large woman.
C'est quel paragraphe, madame?
Deuxième.
He was a large woman, slender, irid and rubbish. Her hair remained black as long as I knew her. Actually, she was still young and had not given up on famine, although his son.
Although,
Also, her son who were able body men tried to decide he from it. She disliked illness and the secret
idleness.
idleness and the secret of the of he young no doubt lie in constant activity. Her husband had did
died
young, far too young. I never saw him young. I never saw him. Sometime she would talk to me about him, but never for every long. Teeth soon interrupted her acquaint, and I never learned anything about my grandfather, anything which might have given me a sense of the sort of person he had been for me, mother. And my uncles did not talk about hide it in my country. Him in my country, the who have been much loved are hardly mentioned at all. We are too distressed when evoking should memories. Je termine, madame.
Thank you.
Okay,
Merci
thank
beaucoup.
you.
Thank you
Merci.
very, very much. Thank you.
Me.
Who said that?
Me.
Who said that? 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 What's your Yes. Who is this?
C'est moi.
Tell your
no?
name.
Sally.
Hello?
Yeah,
must
Sally,
get your
have you
phone.
vous avez déjà lu ou non?
Yes. Non, pas encore. Tout à l'heure, vous avez un problème de connexion.
Okay, third paragraph, Sally. Go ahead. Now you
When
can see,
I
right?
went to
Tu peux voir.
see, yes. When I went to get to Tendika, my youngest uncle came to fetch me. Younger than my mother, I seemed nearer my eyes than her. He was good by nature, and there was no need for her to remind him to keep an eye on me. He did so of his own accord, since I was only a child. He would He would shorten his steps to sweep my peace.
Pace.
He did
Pace. My pace.
peace. My pace. He did this so effectively that we made the usual 2 hours walk to Tendicon in Foul. But I was hardly aware of the length of the route, for all sorts of marvels lay along it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can we have Ndeifal?
Me.
Ndeifal. You want to read? Maybe you have a problem with your mic, Ndeifal. We cannot hear you.
Sir, I can read.
Who is that? Lou? You didn't wait, okay? I saw
Miss, do you?
I saw La Baba Kariem first. Who is La Baba Kariem?
Me.
Mrs.
Yes.
Mrs. Do you hear me?
Yes, who is speaking? Is it Ndeifal?
Yeah.
Ndeifal, you can read the last paragraph, please.
Okay.
La Baba Kariem, you can read yourself and wait, and then read after, okay? On écoute d'abord Ndeifal. Ndeifal, go ahead.
My uncle would choose a kapok tree whose shade is of tough, sufficiently dense, and we would sit down. He would tell me the most recent news from the farm, which a cow had calved and which had just been brewed, which field had been plowed and what damage the white boars had done. The newborn calves interest me the most. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ndeifal. So we do a last round because I see that La Baba Kariem would like to read. Can you tell us your name and rename and read the first paragraph, please? Et pour la prochaine fois, quand vous vous connectez, s'il vous plaît, il faut juste aller sur les 3 points et renommer. Vous mettez vos noms, d'accord? Comme ça, ce sera plus facile pour nous. La Baba Kariem, are you ready to read or no?
Good morning, Mrs.
Yes, who is that?
Aminata Sow.
Aminata Sow, go ahead.
I after spending a few days at Tendika. A time village west of Kurusta, where my mother had been born, and where her mothers and brothers still lived. since they were very fond of me, especially my grandmother who made a festive occasion of my arrival. As for me, I loved her with all my
I loved.
I loved her with my her.
With my
Thank you.
heart. Heart.
My heart.
Yes, good job. Okay. Anybody else reading? No? No other volunteers? Okay, c'est bon. All right. So I think for now, right, you all understand the text now. Everybody understand the text. So this chapter, as I said in the beginning, you can see, the more you read the text, je vous encourage à relire quand vous aurez du temps, d'accord, pendant la journée. Relisez. La lecture, ça va vous aider à non seulement améliorer votre vocabulaire, à savoir comment les paragraphes sont construits, les phrases, comment est-ce que l'écrivain, l'auteur du texte ordonne et organise le texte. OK? Et tout ça, ça peut vous servir quand vous devez écrire des paragraphes sur des expériences ou bien quand vous devez faire le résumé. OK? So please, please, please make sure you read the text again, everybody. Okay? Because it's very, very important for you. And to practice and then you practice also, it helps you practice pronunciation. Pronounce very good. Some of you are used to with pronunciation. So please do it again, okay? I'm gonna read just to help you again, like remember what I said, and then we can talk about the text. After the half make take your test sound, which is just optional, but I'm going you to take it. D'accord? Because it's gonna prepare you for the final exam. Some specific questions that were in the connaissance, okay? In the knowledge test. All right? So I often, or you need to say often. You don't say often. Read the T. Some people don't read the T. So I often spend a few days in the camp. It's good to read the whole word. Okay, you cannot just like read half of a word. Okay, a tiny where my mother have been born with mother. Hello? Sorry, I think we had issues. Can everybody hear me, right? Okay. So I'm going to continue reading. So where her mother and brothers still lived, okay, because it's in the past. To live, lived. When I say lived, people know that I'm talking about something in the past, okay? Since they were very fond of me, especially my grandmother, who made a festive occasion of my arrival. As for me, I loved her with all my heart. Okay? She was a large woman, slender, erect, and robust. Her hair remained black as long as I knew her. Actually, she was still young, and had not given up on farming, although her sons, who were able-bodied men, tried to dissuade her from it.
Sorry, Mrs.
Yes.
We can see the text.
You can't see the text. Oh, I forgot to share it. Sorry. Okay, let me do that. So you can see it now, right? It's good now?
Yeah, it's good.
Okay, nice. Thank you. So I was in the second paragraph, okay? Who were able-bodied men tried to dissuade her from it. She disliked idleness, and the secret of her youth, la jeunesse, youth, no doubt lay in constant activity. Her husband had died young, far too young, far too young. I never saw him. Sometimes she would talk to me about him, but never for very long. Tears soon interrupted her account, and I never learned anything about my grandfather, anything which might have given me a sense of the sort of person he had been, for my mother and my uncles did not talk about him either. So some people say either or either, okay? In my country, the dead who have been much loved are hardly mentioned at all. We are too distressed when evoking such memories. When I went to Tendikan, my youngest uncle came to fetch me. Younger than my mother, he seemed nearer my age than hers. He was good by nature, and there was no need for her to remind him to keep an eye on me. He did so of his own accord. Since I was only a child, he would shorten his steps to suit my pace. He did this so effectively that we made the usual 2 hours walk to Tendikan in 4. But I was hardly aware of the length of the road, for all sorts of marvels lay along it. My uncle would choose a kapok tree whose shade he thought sufficiently dense, and we would sit down. He would tell me the most recent news from the farm, which cow had calved and which had just been bought, which field had been plowed, and what damage the wild boars had done. The newborn calves interested me the most. Can you see like how I really emphasize on the pronunciation? So please, when you read again, try to pronounce the words correctly, okay? I'm gonna check if we have anything on the chat. No? Okay. Do you guys have any questions? Do you understand the text now? Any questions? No? Everybody understand the text? Please type, or if you are on YouTube, let Fadal or your responsible know, the class leader. Yes, you do. Okay. Okay. So You have to take the knowledge test. Il faut faire les tests de connaissance. D'accord? Tout le monde. Ça vous permet de tester vos connaissances sur le texte. C'est optionnel, mais c'est important. OK? Donc, il faut les faire, s'il vous plaît. D'accord? Si vous n'avez pas de questions, on va s'arrêter là jusqu'à vendredi prochain. Anybody? Pas de questions? Non? OK. On s'arrête là et on se voit vendredi prochain pour faire notre chapitre 3. D'accord? Thank you.